Robin Flynn filling in for Aaron Rand with you until 6 p.m. Thank you so much for spending some of your Canada Day with me, or in Quebec, in Montreal especially, as we like to call it, Moving Day. Joining me now in studio is Craig Sauvé, Independent City Councillor for the Sud-Ouest borough, to chat a little bit about Moving Day. Hey, Craig, how's it going?
Hi, Robin. Good to be here.
Yeah, today, Moving Day. I actually was having a conversation with a client of mine who's in Ottawa recently, and she was like, do you guys celebrate Canada Day in Quebec? I was like, yes, we do. Maybe not as big a deal as Saint-Jean, but yes, we celebrate. And I'm like, we celebrate by moving. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, everybody here moves on July 1st. And she didn't understand, but it actually kind of makes sense, right? Like, I think the reason we started doing this was so that we moved outside of the school year, so that kids weren't being displaced in the middle of the school year. So it actually makes quite a bit of sense from what I understand. Plus, it's a day off. Everybody's off on Canada Day, so you can move. But I read an article a few days ago that said that there were close to 2,000 households in Montreal that were still looking for a place to live, which is a little scary because that was 3 days ago, and today is Moving Day. And I can't imagine you're down to the wire 3 days before Moving Day. You have to leave your apartment. You haven't found a new one. If you've got kids, I can't imagine how scary that is. So if somebody is still in that situation, they're vacating their apartment today, what can they do?
So, yeah, I mean, that's a number. We're still over 2,100, and that's for the entirety of Quebec. And that's what we know. So there's lots of stuff we don't know. So if you're someone in Montreal or in anywhere in Quebec, there's resources for you that we're going to try to help you. In Montreal, you can call 311, and there's a service that's piloted by the Housing Corporation, the OMHM, and they can help you find a house, a new place, a new dwelling. They can help move you there. They can stock your stuff, and in grave emergencies, they can even put you in a hotel or a motel room for even months.
Oh, wow.
And so this is a service we've been offering for some time now in Montreal. And now Quebec has been sort of pushing it out everywhere. I mean, 2,100 households, so that's more than 2,100 people because they're families, they're kids, they're couples, they're pets. That's a lot of people. And it's getting worse every year. And we're tracking it more and more. And basically what we've seen is that the cost of housing has gotten completely out of sync with what people can actually afford. And there was a recent statistics that were just published last week too, showing that in Montreal, housing has gone up from 2019 for a 2-bedroom apartment. It's gone up 71% since 2019, so just before the pandemic. And so before the pandemic, the average for a 2-bedroom apartment in Montreal was $1,130. Now it's $1,930. And I'll remind everybody, if you're not on minimum wage is $16.10 an hour.
Yep.
And if you work full hours a week and you work, so 40 hours a week, 4 weeks a month, you're going to make about $2,600 on your minimum wage before taxes.
Wow.
So how are you supposed to pay for a 2-bedroom on minimum wage? Impossible. And rents are going up. Pressure is going up. So people are really, really squeezed. And if they're forced to move for maybe good reasons, maybe bad reasons, they can't find something that they can afford and that's good for maybe their kids or their partners or their pets. So people are really struggling. That's why we're talking about this crisis. It's massive. So to think that the cities are putting people in hotel rooms for months on end to try to help them. They're going through the classifieds with them. They're searching with them. They're doing everything they can. And some people are still left out in the lurch. It's a very tough time for a lot of families in Montreal.
I think a lot of people assume probably these people were not proactive, that you waited too long to start looking. But oftentimes if you were reno-evicted, for example, and you were paying, you had won the lottery and you had a $1,200 a month, apartment, and all you can find are $2,500 apartments right now. I mean, you can't suddenly double what you're paying on rent. And if you don't have family nearby to crash on their couch for a little while, you're in it. You're stuck, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that these people failed in some way, right?
Absolutely. I mean, some people have networks that are established in cities, areas, countries that can help them get through tough times. Some people do not have networks. And we get a lot of stories in our city council offices of people in our neighborhoods that are looking for places or they're about to be evicted. You hear it all the time. Sometimes the seniors have been working their whole life, staying in the same apartment for 40 years. And then, their apartment was bought out. They were renting and it was bought out. And then, sorry, you have to go, or there's for good reasons like needs to be renovations because the place is not healthy anymore. It's not sanitary. Fine. But there are people that have been looking for months on end to find something where they do have a community, where they can afford, and where they might need accessibility if they don't have full mobility, and they're not finding these places on the market right now. So that's why we're in deep, deep trouble. And that's, I would say, decades of bad policy making from all three levels of government that's brought us to where we are today. It takes years and years and years to fix these things.
Yep, absolutely. It's not something that's going to be solved overnight. If it was an easy solution, we would have done it already, right? Is what I always say. I'm curious for folks who are moving today who do have somewhere that they can go and they've decided, I'm not bringing my fridge with me, or I'm going to get a new mattress when I get there. They have these really big, bulky items. You can't leave them behind in your old apartment because your landlord makes you get rid of them. And please don't leave them behind anyway, because I once had somebody, when I moved into an apartment, leave a bedbug infested mattress behind. Which was lovely. I had to fumigate the whole apartment. But also, don't leave them on the side of the road, right? That's not something that you're supposed to do. So what do you do instead? Because I feel like on moving day, when you drive down the street, you still see all this junk on the side of the road.
I know that people, mean to do well sometimes by leaving junk on the side of the road, but it's best to try to get rid of it responsibly. Yeah. I know that moving day is super stressful. Like, I hate moving. I hate it.
Everybody does,
It's so stressful. But, if you want to do the right thing, you may have to take some measures a little bit beforehand. If you want to give things away or sell them on the marketplace or whatever, secondhand, go to Renaissance. They're open, by the way. They've been open all week. Our eco centers are also open. These are Montreal-owned places where you can deposit electronics, furniture, construction equipment, and it's free.
Yeah,
so they're open today. They're working today.
I used my eco center. I'm on the South Shore, but I used my eco center for the first time this weekend, and I was shocked at how easy it is. Show up, show your ID. We in Chateauguay, where I live, you get 5 free drop-offs a year, and there was bins. Everything was well marked where to put the different kinds of materials where you were getting rid of. I imagine Montreal's is very similar.
Exactly. And I mean, if you're not mobile and you can't move things by yourself or what have you, you can call 311. There are other solutions that the city does offer. And I love to give a big shout out to the blue collar workers and all the workers that are out there today. There's extra crews in the city going around trying to pick up, to make our neighborhoods more clean and proper. They're working. It's muggy outside. They're working their butts off today. I saw them do their garbage collection in the point where I am. They did a spectacular job. And there's teams that are working out throughout the week across Montreal to try to add that extra effort, because they know, unfortunately, that not everybody's going to be 100% responsible with the things they leave behind.
Yeah.
So we're doing our best, and so a big shout out to all the workers that are out there in this muggy atmosphere.
Yeah, I know. I'm curious, is the city more lenient with parking tickets? Because I'm picturing, let's say you're moving somewhere on like the Plateau or even the Sud-Ouest, where it's a one-way street. People are home from work because it's Canada Day, so there's no parking. The whole street is full, and you've got a moving truck. You have to double park to be able to unload your moving truck. Is the city a little more lenient, let's say, with these kinds of things?
Well, the rule of thumb in the city is like always follow the signs. There's never an exception unless there's like a major announcement of an exception. But it almost always is never an exception. That said, like those who are, in the mobility, the Sustainable Mobility Agency, that are ones that are driving around and giving the tickets, they're not crazy. They're using their eyes. They're using their brains, and they see a moving truck, So I think in different boroughs, they have different rules. In the Sud-Ouest, you can block off any spot that's not handicapped or that's not a parking meter, and you just sort of arrange with your neighbors. You see it. People put like 2 chairs on a rope and a please moving day tomorrow. That's okay in the Sud-Ouest, at least I know, So that's really, I think, a generally good practice. And as long as we're respectful of our neighbors and responsible, it's okay. Once we're getting parking meters, you can actually get a permit to pay for the spots in front of the parking meters and reserve them. It's a bit more paperwork ahead of time, and you have to pay for it. Or you could probably just pay the parking meters yourself and put your car there if you have a car. Yep. But suffice to say, in most boroughs of Montreal, there's sort of like an understanding for those places where people pre-reserve or some double parking. Deliveries are accepted everywhere in Montreal, right? And you put your flashers on. Maybe you're getting food or you're getting a package. That's normal. So I think it's just good practice if you're in a neighborhood, try to be respectful of the neighbors you're leaving or moving into, and let them know what you're doing and be cool with them. And I think everything should be all right. And I think those workers, they're not going to just issue tickets to be jerks. I think they're using their brains after all.
Yep. All right. So moral of the story here to recap, if you're having issues, contact 311.
Always.
If you've got giant pieces of furniture and you don't know what to do with it, contact 311. They'll help you figure it out.
Yep.
And don't be a jerk. on moving day. I think that sort of summarizes everything perfectly. Craig Sauvé, Independent City Councillor in the Sud-Ouest. Thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you so much, Robin.